The IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship roars back into life this weekend on the streets of the Motor City with the Chevrolet Detroit Sports Car Classic. Hi folks, Leigh Diffey along with NBC Sports sports car experts Calvin Fish and Brian Till. Here we go, guys. We're getting ready to roar back into life, and after a dozen times of racing on Belle Isle, this is the second time back for IMSA on these now redesigned downtown streets of Detroit. The first time back in 2023, it was the Michelin Pilot Challenge Series. Last year, IMSA WeatherTech came here, so got a little bit of early history. Looking forward to getting back to it. But Cal, you first up. I've got a question to ask. Who is going to stop this Penske domination? Because 4 races in and 4 victories to the team, 3 to the 7, 1 to the 6. Who's going to stop them?
They've been amazingly just perfect execution through all 4 races so far. They've been so fast. And, the cars seem to be really strong on the green flag run, and they've made 0 mistakes on pit lane or on the racetrack. But I think one thing that has happened since the last round at WeatherTech Raceway is there's been a bit of a BOP change in terms of the balance of performance. The technical regulations from IMSA have changed. So the Cadillacs and the Acura have gained a little bit of power and performance, and both the Porsche and the BMW have lost a little bit. And that could be a 2 or 3 tenth swing. So that could be enough. I think there was a lot of angry team owners from Cadillac and Acura after that last round at WeatherTech Raceway, where we went green flag racing and none of their cars finished on the lead lap. It's time for a change, but this could be the one. It's a 100-minute slugfest in Detroit. It's always a race like we have at Long Beach, of course. 100 minutes, single stop as typically seals the day. And we're going to have to wait and see. But it's GM World, Rensen in the backdrop. There's a heavy weight on the GM drivers. They want to come through this weekend.
Brian, what do you make of this Porsche Penske Motorsport domination, and how important was it for the two Matties, Mathieu Jaminet and Matt Campbell, to get that victory last time out?
Well, they always say there's nobody you want to beat more than your teammate, and I think that was definitely true for the 6 team. The 7 had been so strong all season long. So now it really looks like the championship. I mean, we got a long way to go still, right? We've got 4 more races after this, but it's one of those things that it looks like the picture's becoming a little more clear. It's going to be a Penske battle for this championship. The question is, how much will they let them take the gloves off? How much will they take the gloves off here at Detroit? Because I look at a racetrack like this, and if you're in the championship lead, you're kind of controlling the championship, you can throw it all away in a heartbeat with one of these concrete walls around here. So you can't just throw caution to the wind and go. But at the same point in time, you can't give up more than you need to. And for the pursuers, and you look at Wayne Taylor Racing, you were talking about Cadillac and Acura just a moment ago with Meyer Shank Racing. For them, though, with 2 cars in each one of those stables, maybe they do sacrifice one. Maybe they throw caution to the wind with one of their 2 entries and just lay down a really, really aggressive strategy and an aggressive pace. So we'll have to see. But for so far this year, it's been Porsche Penske perfect. The cars, like Calvin said, they look good on long runs. They're nimble. They're agile. It'll be interesting to see, though, what this BOP has done, and will it bring Acura and Cadillac back into the fray?
You've both mentioned Wayne Taylor Racing and Meyer Shank Racing. Cal, if you take a step back, we'll get to BMW in just a moment, but if you take a step back and look at those 2 racing organizations, obviously the return to GM for Wayne Taylor Racing, and after a year away, the return to IMSA competition for Meyer Shank. What's your assessment of those 2 organizations so far this year?
Well, Meyer Shank came out with 2 podiums, respective cars, 60 and then 93, grabbing podiums early in the season at Daytona and at Sebring. So it looked like they picked up where they left off at the end of 23. Of course, they had that gap year where they didn't compete in 2024. So things look good for them. But then I think we look at mistakes from the drivers that we don't normally see in their camps. So is it that the cars are too edgy to drive? They lost the setup a little bit, or are they just pushing too hard to try and overcome this Penske Porsche brigade that's up front? I think for Wayne Taylor Racing, much ballyhooed returned to GM, so much success over the decades with that brand, and they just seem to have not been able to get their handle on the race car. So there's been a little bit of testing going on. We talked about the BOP swing. We returned to a track where they last won at with a 10 car for Acura, of course, last year. So, and they're now heading off to Le Mans. They want to go there on a high, and this could be the weekend where they break through, but it's been slow progress for Wayne Taylor Racing. Ricky Taylor had a nice 4th place qualifying run at WeatherTech Raceway, didn't have a great first lap, and they're mired in the pack, couldn't really make any progress. So this is a very important weekend for them.
Hey, Brian, now that you two guys have been for a long time on this side of the fence, no longer drivers, you're analysts and expert of the sport. What do you make of this track, and especially for the size and scale of these GTP prototypes?
They look just huge on this racetrack, and obviously it's a good sized car, but it's not giant by any stretch of the imagination. But certainly there are areas of this racetrack. We saw it last year with complete track blockages. A couple of times, I think Jimmy Bruni may have been involved in one of those, or Richard Westbrook in the 85. But it's one of those things that there's no margin for error. There are a couple of places on this track where you can attack, and others where you've got to be really smart about it. You know, in watching the race from last year, I was laughing about the amount of aggressiveness that was there. It was shocking, right? I mean, you sat and watched it, and you were like, they look like big cars, but they're also very, very robust. The amount of side-by-side contact that we had was amazing. I was chuckling with Calvin yesterday. I said, I think Jack Aitken hit everybody but the safety car when he was out there, just really aggressive, wheel-to-wheel kind of racing. And these cars will take it. That's the thing that's impressive about it. But this racetrack, I think, lends itself to drivers making mistakes. They get too defensive, and it's almost better to lose a position, Calvin, than it is to lose the race by being defensive. We saw that happen with a couple of cars last year.
Yeah, we certainly did. And track position is typically so important on a street race, but this isn't Monaco. Don't expect to see follow your leader. You can certainly make some aggressive moves there. It typically results in contact. You hope to get away with it, not get the penalty, not draw the ire of the driver stewards who are watching on down on you. But it's going to be exciting. I think qualifying is going to be important, but incredibly, when we look at the history of the last couple of years, it's been 16 races since a Porsche has won in GTP. And we talk about that 7 car. They've qualified third in all the first 4 races and followed that with 3 victories and a runner-up finish. So race day is a little bit different to qualifying day, and qualifying day has been all about BMW so far this year.
By the way, we've got qualifying coverage for you on Friday afternoon from the streets of Detroit. All right, you mentioned it, Cal. BMW, Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. They've been the toast of qualifying. They've shown unbelievable one-lap speed. They've been there, but it's been the kind of coulda, shoulda, woulda story starting right at the Rolex 24. What's going to be that magic turning point for BMW, and especially given the fact that there are rumors swirling that there may be increased pressure on RLL to keep that BMW relationship with these GTP cars?
Well, I think they're doing a nice job, Lee. I mean, qualifying's one thing. Dries Venturi has just been a monster. He now goes to another track that he hasn't been at before, but I don't think that'll stop his challenge for the pole here on Friday. But I think they have made progress. They try to tighten things up on pit lane a little bit. They had a really strong run at WeatherTech Raceway, almost nipped a runner-up position there with Nick Tandy, a little bit of argy-bargy going down in the final corner there was certainly very exciting to watch. But I think they're close. I mean, I think the real key is, does that BOP swing take them out of, maybe they execute the perfect race, but maybe Cadillac or Acura are suddenly going to be too quick for them to get that first victory of the year. I think BMW have a long history with RLL. I think it will be a long discussion and conversation about whether they choose to move away. I'm sure there's been discussions in the background about what the options may be. Chip Ganassi Racing has been mentioned. WRT, who runs their program in the World Endurance Championship, obviously an option as well. But I think they're going to try and keep faith there, but we are getting to the halfway point. 50 minutes into this race is the halfway point in this season. 9 races only for GTP, so it's time to turn the table and grab that first win.
BT, do you have a take on the BMW situation this year?
Yeah, I think Calvin's right from the standpoint of the BOP change may have come at exactly the wrong time, because I really feel like they found something. Bobby Rahal talked about it after Long Beach and said, hey, we need to find a way to be better in the pit lane. He didn't talk about driver changes or strategy. We don't know exactly what it was that they were looking for, but I think we saw the results of that at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, where the team fought much more aggressively, and they were there the entire time. Like Cal said, came down to the last corner of the last lap for that second place on the podium. But now, if with the BOP change, it could take them back a little bit to where they were before, and that's got to be frustrating for that group. I think they have found their way, but we'll just have to see if they can play all the cards the way that they need to. But, I mean, it's a pressure-packed time, right? There's a championship. There's a race win that you desperately need. There's a program that may be going away. So all that pressure is on everybody. One pit stop, and talk about pressure, it's on the guys that are holding the air wrenches in their hands and the guys that are doing the driver changes and all of that. That race victory could come down to not who's sitting in the car, but the mechanics that are working on it on pit lane.
Brian, last question to you. It's not often that you see an organization come into the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship and have the impact and effect in a very quick space of time like AO Racing has, whether that be in the LMP2 category, whether it be in GTD, GTD Pro, and Roxy is back, the purple Porsche. They haven't won everything, but they've won 2/3 of the races they've done this year. So who's going to stop AO Racing?
Well, I don't know. I mean, remember Corvette was so strong there last year. Antonio Garcia started on the pole and then had the alternator problem on lap 1. The Corvette should be good. But I'll tell you what, the Dragon Speed Ferrari, the number 81, we saw the pace they had at Laguna. The layout of that car strikes me as one that should shine at a place like Detroit. It's well balanced, it's nimble, it's quick, it responds well in these quick transitions side to side in some of these tighter corners. It could very well be a program to keep an eye on. And they remind me a lot of AO Racing. And I know that sounds a little bit weird, but here's what I mean by that. I think they're a team that doesn't look for particular magic. They look to cross the T's and dot all the I's. And that's how you win races. And that's how you win championships. Don't outsmart yourself. They've got some of the best in the business as far as Dragon Speed goes with that Risi Competizione conglomeration that they have, whatever you want to call it. They've got some of the best in the business from a strategy standpoint there with Rick Mayer calling the engineering shots for them. And they've got a great leader, team owner there at Dragon Speed. And it's one of those things that you look at it and you go, those are the right pieces in place. It's the exact same thing that AO Racing has done. Gunnar Jeanette has come in and it's like, we're not going to reinvent the wheel. We're going to run what we've got. We're going to maximize everything. And if we just do our job, that's exactly what they've done. And I know that's what Elton Julian's trying to do at Dragon Speed.
Cal, before we finish up, we said this right at the beginning of the year at the Rolex 24. Lauren Heinrich and Klaus Bachler, they remind us of Porsche partnerships from the past in this championship. And I mean, they look so incredibly strong.
Yeah, Lauren Heinrich burst onto the scene last year, won that championship, had various teammates last year. And Klaus Bachler is such a pro. I mean, we sat down with the whole group there before the season even started, and they walked away and we just shook our heads. So impressive, just their attitude, their professionalism. And as Brian said, they got a great group there. They're ticking every box. And that's what it's taken right now. We don't have GTD here this weekend, but obviously Winwood Racing doing the same thing. They're trying to follow up on a championship. AO Racing, Penske. It seems like the champions from last year have hit 2025 totally in their stride.
All right, we're excited about this upcoming weekend. Qualifying coverage Friday afternoon from Detroit, and we'll see you live on Peacock Saturday afternoon at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be a fun weekend on the streets of the Motor City.